Hello Penguinauts, I'm the Beardy Penguin and welcome back to Kerbal's space program Endurance. In the last episode we built the Reclaimer, an interplanetary spacecraft destined to head to Demise, what is now the name for Eve, and yeah, it's lost a lot of its vigour, including its atmosphere, and yeah, it's kind of a hellhole, but we should get a lot of science from it, and because of that, we are also, of course, taking along a mobile processing lab. So yeah, we're going to get a lot of science out of this mission. Not actually a huge amount of money, because we don't have many contracts for Demise, but hey, you know, science is the main important thing. We have quite a lot of funds stockpiled at the moment, because I thought this mission would be a lot more expensive than it actually was. Anyway, we have the video at 8 times regular speed here, and 2 times physics warp in game, so really it's 16 times speed. That's because this burn took a very long time. Nuclear engines are very efficient, but they are very slow. And there is actually a slight problem with Reclaimer. You can see that our fuel is draining pretty fast. Okay, so I did actually do delta V calculations for this mission, because obviously we're going interplanetary. I didn't really want to take any risks. So the lander's got more than enough delta V to land on Demise and get back off. You see the lander right at the front of the spacecraft there has a lot of delta V, because of course it's 0.8 Gs of gravity but no atmosphere, so it requires quite a lot of delta V to actually land on the surface. However, I did the calculations for the delta V of the drive section of Reclaimer without taking into account the mass of the lander, which is about 70 tons worth of spacecraft. So yeah, we have more than enough fuel to actually get us out to Demise, but we are not quite going to have enough fuel to actually get us back. Thankfully, I over-designed the habitation part of this spacecraft, so we've got way too much life support and habitation, so our Kerbals are going to be fine. And since we're travelling into the inner solar system, the transfer windows come along very often. And in fact, we're going to have a transfer window to Demise well before we get a transfer window back from Demise back to Solitude. So we'll definitely be able to send a resupply mission. And to be honest, I might actually make more of it. I'm not going to take this as a failure. I'm actually going to send a resupply mission, but I think I might also send a second lander so that we can explore more biomes at Demise. Maybe send a second lander that actually has a rover. I was just trying to keep the weight down as much as possible on our first lander, but you know, I think we should really take advantage of it. Anyway, while we're time warping out to our first maneuver node to make a course correction for Demise, we swap to our Sentinel space telescope, which is mapping asteroids, and we find that yeah, it's supposed to make a course correction to get itself into a slightly higher orbit, but we can't communicate with it. It's too far away from Solitude and its antenna is not large enough, so that's just going to sort of sit dead in space for quite a few more months time until it comes back around within range of Solitude, since of course we didn't have much antenna technology back when we launched it. So we have actually finally arrived now at our course correction, and we're just going to bring ourselves into a nice low polar orbit of Demise so that we can choose our landing site, because yeah, a lot of the equatorial region is covered in lava, so yeah, we're probably not going to want to land in them. So once we've adjusted our orbit sufficiently, we transmit the science that our research lab has researched. We've been picking up data all the time while we've been in solar orbit. So we actually have a lot of science per turn. We're getting almost 10 science per turn from that research lab, and that's only going to increase as we orbit Demise. But anyway, we have some things to do while Reclaimer is heading out to Demise, because of course it takes a few months for it to travel there. We are launching actually 2 things in this mission, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone. First of all, Thea Station, our station in low Solitude orbit, is starting to run low on supplies. Now, our Kerbal that we have on there, he's a scout, so he can stay in space pretty much indefinitely, habitation-wise. He doesn't go stir-crazy. He's made of pretty stern stuff, but he has run pretty low on his supplies, so we're just going to go send a resupply mission up to him. And we also have a recycling unit, so then his supplies should, I think, be able to last him something like 5 years. Yeah, a pretty damn long time. So until we need Thea Station, we're probably not going to need it for quite some time. We're not building spacecraft in orbit yet, so he's just going to sort of be up there keeping the dust off the surfaces of the space station for quite some time. I have no real reason to bring him home. He's perfectly happy up there, and we have loads of life support, and we are going to need the station at some point. And also, I do want to use it to perform rescue missions in low Solitude, orbit. So we do need to have someone there just in case. But yeah, that station isn't really doing much right now. But we also have a second spacecraft, as I'm sure you can see right at the top of the rocket there. And that is a deep space telescope. So we're just getting ourselves into orbit, reusing of course the boosters and then the main first stage, just landing it gently on parachutes. But yes, what we're going to do is rendezvous with Thea Station, and we're going to drop off the resupply module, and then we're going to send the deep space telescope up into a higher orbit. Now Beardy, why are you launching a deep space telescope? Surely you've discovered all the planets in the Kerbal system. Well, I have, but we haven't discovered anything outside of the solar system. Yes, well, the whole purpose of this series is to escape Archangel, to develop a warp drive and head out to another star system. But right now, we don't actually have any star systems mapped. So what we need to do is launch a space telescope which can examine nearby stars and find if they have any exoplanets. Yeah, we need to actually monitor the sky above us to see if we can find some exoplanets, you know, some places where we can actually go to in future. There are a few different methods of finding exoplanets. The two most common ones are the transit method, where the planet passes between you and the star, the light from the star dims, and the time between each dimming tells you the orbit, so the time period of its orbit, which you can then use to calculate the radius of its orbit, and then how much it dims by tells you the radius of the planet. There's another method which uses Doppler shifts, so everything inside a solar system actually orbits around one combined center of mass, so the gravitational influence of the planet on the star causes the star to wobble a little bit, and as it wobbles away from and towards you, there's a little thing called the Doppler effect. Something producing light or any kind of wave actually is moving away from you. It is redshifted, shifted towards the larger wavelength, and as it's moving towards you, it's shifted towards the bluer end of the spectrum. So as it's redshifted and blue shifted, the time period of that can tell you the orbit and also the mass of the planet. So those are two different methods we can use to find exoplanets. And sure enough, we have found a star in the sky, which our astronomers have named Valentine, a beautiful red star, and around it we found a number of planets. Now, in reality, you would have to observe this star for quite a few months, possibly even a few years, much like the Kepler Space Telescope did in reality, in order to get the amount of data that we're getting here. But we, this is Kerbal Space Program, so all we have to do is take a few photos, and we have pretty much all the data we need on Valentine. We do not have the exact orbits of the planets, though, so in order to get the orbits of the planets, we are going to have to observe them for quite a bit longer. But we are actually able to identify the fact that they are there already, which in reality you would have to do quite a few observations. Our Space Telescope also picks up a few galaxies as well. We get some pretty nice pictures of some distant galaxies in the sky, and we do also then pick up even more planets around Valentine. In the end, I think the total comes to about 5 planets. There's one planet which was a lot further out, so we were actually pointing the telescope at a completely different patch of sky, and we managed to pick up one of the planets around Valentine. As you can see, that 5th one is in a pretty high orbit. It must be a pretty large planet. Maybe it's a gas giant or some kind. Of course, all of these planets are way too far away for any kind of direct observation, but what we can do is wait until the planets pass in front of their star and then use the light shining through the atmospheres of those planets to actually identify what's in them, because of course certain elements absorb certain wavelengths of light, and that produces a spectra which allows you to identify what's actually in the atmosphere of the exoplanet. That's something that the James Webb Space Telescope, when it goes up in 2020, will actually be able to do. But in the meantime, Reclaimer is now approaching Demise in all of its purple glory, and we stand ready to take in a pretty huge amount of data. So we have an absolute bounty of science here for the collecting. So let's just work our way through each one. And okay, we have to actually click on the crew cabin. That's fine. Crew report. Crew report data acquired. Okay, a little lame. I was hoping for something slightly better than that, but apparently we don't have a science message for high over Demise, but that's alright. Temperature scan. Thermometer seems to have cracked and glass is everywhere. We're just going to do that twice because then we can put data into the science lab. What are we getting per day? Only 4.5 science today? Hopefully that'll improve when we get down near the surface. Atmospheric pressure scan. It reads 0. It's as if it were in a vacuum. Now, of course, we've transmitted these experiments before from our space probes to Demise, so we're not getting full science for them. But we will get a lot of science when we take them back home with us. There we go. Mystery goo experiment rendered inoperable. Just activate another one. Goo feels right at home here. There we go. Oh, we activated 2 accidentally. Didn't want to do that. There we go. Gravity scan. Gravity scanning data acquired. How much data do we have right now? Still not full on data, so we'll keep throwing things into the lab. Analyze magnetosphere. There we go. That's got to be a lot of data, right? Yeah, we've almost filled this up. Oh, there we go. It's jumped right up to 8 science today. See, the more data you have, the faster you research it, which is particularly nice. Alright, let's do a material study, shall we? I think most of... here we go. High radiation environment causes 3 of the samples to glow. We've seen that one many times before. But that's quite alright. We'll clean all the experiments in a minute once we've retrieved all the scientific stuff, reports and the like from... Oh, I think I didn't grab the mystery goo. There we go. Grab that! Okay, so we need to get out with Peter and we need to go and reset a few experiments. Oh god, that sun is... the sun's bright. There we go. EVA report data acquired. See, most people don't do high over Demise. Most of the stuff is low over and the like. But that's okay. Okay, here we go. Let's take all this data. Take. And let's go reset some experiments. Restore. Where was the next one? There we go, around here. Look. To head in, collect the data and restore it. See, this is the thing, with a scientist outside you can restore experiments immediately, but with the science lab it actually takes like a good few minutes to actually clean out the experiments. Not entirely sure what that's about. Maybe it's because you do it from inside instead of heading outside. Who knows. But there we go. We are just going to also grab the crew report from up front. I just like to have all the scientific reports all in one place. There we go. Take data. And wonderful! We have all of those and we'll get ourselves back into the science lab. So we send some of them into the science lab to be processed, giving us a bunch of data to research, and then we take them so that we can actually just, you know, take the reports back home and recover them and get science that way too. So all we need to do now is get ourselves into an orbit of Demise, but we are actually grabbing ourselves gravity scan data specific to certain biomes. Even in space high over Demise, we still get biome specific gravity scans. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I didn't realise that was possible, but it seems that gravity scans are the only experiment that you can get biome specific data for, even when you're still in high orbit over the planet. But I'm not complaining, it's more science. But we are starting to run out of space for data in the science lab. So what we're going to have to do is start storing second copies of experiments up in the command module, making sure that we still have 2 copies of said data, because we're going to be researching our way through it pretty damn fast in low orbit of Demise. I'm so glad I brought along this mobile processing lab. Thank you to those of you who recommended that I did, because we are going to get a lot of science from this mission. Let's grab some of these reports, because I mean, this burn is going to take a very long time, so we might as well read something funny while we're at it. Again, just trying to use the Mark II lander can here. No, down here. We need to just use this one here. Here we are. Mission control tells you this place was once purple. You weep for this planet's fall from grace. We will need to get out and create copies of all these experiments, of course, later on to create more data for us to research. But right now they have their hands full. Yeah, very, very full. But we're getting almost 12 science a day, so I think it's fine. The ground is burning, the air is burning, everything is burning! So I think we can turn that into... Yeah, we can just about turn that into data. Just absolutely jam-pack. Yeah, we're not getting anything else into the mobile processing lab. Atmospheric pressure scan. Reads 0 as if we're in a vacuum. Mystery goo observation. Goo feels right at home here. Really? Okay, interesting. Gamma ray experiment. Nobody wrote anything for that one. Gravity scan. Nobody wrote anything for the gravity scan. That's interesting. What the magnetosphere? Ah, subpar. We've got a lot of crew reports and EVA reports, I think, but not much in the way of many of the science reports. I'm sure if we got out and did an EVA report, we'd get something, but right now we're under thrust, so we'll do that once we're in orbit. So once again we step it up to 8 times time acceleration, because although nuclear engines are very, very efficient, they are very, very, very slow. I did consider putting some slightly more powerful liquid fuel and oxidizer engines just on the side to give us a bit of a kick, but honestly in the end I decided I might as well just bite the bullet. And to be honest, this is not too bad. We got most of these burns done in around about 10 minutes, so it wasn't too excruciating. So what we're doing here is we're just going to orbit back around until we're back at our periapsis again, because we're a little way away from our periapsis, so we're not burning as efficiently as we could do. And our fuel situation, it's not as bad as it looks, actually. I'll be honest with you there, because we are lugging a 70-ton lander into orbit here, right? And we actually have enough fuel here to just about get us back to Solitude as is. But on the way back, we're not going to be taking this 70-ton lander. And we should have quite a bit of fuel left over here to transfer into this stage anyway. So we have got plenty of fuel to get back to Solitude. But it doesn't hurt to be a little bit cautious. So that's exactly what we are going to do. Anyway, let's get ourselves our EVA report, shall we? EVA report, data required. Okay, would have thought I'd get something a little bit more interesting than that. Let's see if we can... okay. Perhaps nobody did EVA report. I keep thinking that people did more reports than they actually did. But yeah, apparently not. Oh, did we forget to take the data out of the... We did. Forgot to take the data out of the dam. There we go. Let's grab that. Beautiful. Let's grab it. There we go. Over the lava lakes. We need to grab 2 of those. Same with the EVA report, actually. So we'll store that one. And then we will log gravity data, if it'll let us log it from outside. Log gravity data. Nope, not gonna let us do it. Okay, we just have to get back in. Get the gravity scan again. There we go. I think we should probably grab everything twice, shouldn't we? How much data we got here that we are yet to process? We got the EVA report, space high. Okay, a lot of these we can't actually process. Yeah, it's just the EVA report. It's just stuff that we haven't already done with our probe here. I think if we transmit science back, maybe then you can't process it in the lab. I'm not sure. Maybe we've already done double copies of everything and I'm just an idiot. It's probably the second one, isn't it? Let's be honest with myself. But either way, let's make ourselves... Let's grab ourselves another EVA report and we'll grab the second copy of that data. There we go. And again, this is so we can put 1 copy into the science lab to research it and take another copy home with us. It's a little irritating we have to do this. You can't just keep storing data inside the science lab. Maybe we should have brought some science storage modules with us, because there are modules you can use to store data, especially in the mod Tarsia Space Technologies at least, which makes things a damn sight easier. But anyway, oh, we also need to go reset all of our material studies and the like. So let's get out and let's go do that, Peter. We should have a... Yep, there we go. World first. Performed a spacewalk in orbit of Demise. As you see, we get a ton of extra money from that, thanks to all of our strategies, which is very, very nice. We'll collect that data. There we go. We'll collect this data. And there we go. Is that everything? Yeah, that's everything. We got the magnetometers data. Nope. Collect that data. I think we haven't collected any of the data actually, have we? So let's go around and grab the gamma ray spectrometers stuff as well. Take data. And boom! Get back in. Wonderful! Right, so now what we have to do is orbit ourselves around and get ourselves into a circular orbit. And possibly get some more science and space high over Demise as well. We need to bring ourselves into a relatively low and circular orbit in order to make it as easy as possible for our lander to get back up to the mothership after it's gone down and done its mission. Because as I said previously, it's comparable to landing on Tylo. And that's why we have actually asparagus staging set up with those fuel tanks, as you can see, bolted to the side of our lander. Not particularly pretty, but it's just kind of necessary. I did have a few people on the Discord say that this spacecraft looked ugly, but it's like, guys, it's It's a career mode save. Everything is designed to be functional, right? It's just it's not meant to be pretty. The goo has started a labour strike. Demands better working conditions. Right, well I wouldn't count on getting them anytime soon, Mr. Mystery Goo, but alright. We just got a bunch of experiments here that we just need to repeat multiple times so that we can actually get ourselves, as I said, repeatable. Well, we can have ourselves the experiment to take home and the experiment to research. Let's explore that one. We'll get back on board, take the gravity scan again. Oh, we've already done the gravity scan twice. I think we've already done it twice, haven't we? Yeah, we have. Right, get Peter out again. I don't think we're even going to have enough time in the universe to research all of this stuff. Like, even on Talos 1, we had full data thing. It took months and months and months and months to get through all of it. Why are we going this way? Oh, yeah, we were going to go reset some stuff, weren't we? Yeah. So, yeah, we're probably not going to get through all of this. But it doesn't hurt to have 2 copies of everything. Okay, so we'll store this one in here. Again, let me store it. Oh. Store experiments, there we go. And then this one down here. Collect that data, store you. And we'll take you... Oh, careful not to smash into a radiator. Those are really important this close to Archangel. I cannot overstress the importance of those. There's a reason why we closed the Gigantor solar arrays. That we just didn't need them. We're powering this entire spacecraft on a couple of tiny little solar panels. And the Gigantors were producing so much heat that we just couldn't get rid of. So that's why we're using these massive, great big ones now. If we broke one of those, it would cause us some problems. Some serious problems. So yeah, let's not do that. As well as having to compensate from all the heat from being this close to Archangel, we are also having to compensate for all the heat produced by those nuclear engines, of which they produce quite a lot of it. I believe it was in a recent patch. I think it was when they added re-entry heating that they added the effect that nuclear engines really do heat up your spacecraft. So yeah, our radiators are at about 100% right now. They're just on the limit. And if I actually turn back on the temperature indicators, you would see that they're struggling to keep the spacecraft cool, but just about managing. And now you can see the reason why we brought a 3-ton empty container of fissile materials out to Demise. Yeah, it's not there for the nuclear engines, it's just there because some idiot was paying us $500,000 funds to drag it out to Demise orbit, and hey, that paid for the mission pretty much, and all the science we're getting, so we're not going to turn that down. But this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time for a landing on Demise.